Hello, I'm John Blom, your 2025 Washington REALTORS president, and welcome to our first video of the new year. To kick us off, we're going to talk through some highlights in preparation for the upcoming legislative session and our annual Hill Day conference. I am joined with our Government Affairs Director, Mary Hull-Drury, to cover some of the highlights as we prepare for the first week of session. There are some significant challenges facing the legislature, particularly as it comes to real estate that are going to impact our industry and the state of Washington.
In our last video with then President Jeff Smart, he and I chatted about housing as one of the legislature's top 10, maybe even top 5 issues to address this coming biennium. Part of that translates to a focus on supply-side legislation to help with the current inventory shortage. I don't think it takes much to recognize that our housing shortage has negatively impacted affordability. So some of the bills we hope to pass are reforming the Subdivision Act to streamline the process and allow for lot splitting, improve implementation of recent middle housing legislation, address rural housing issues to include rural ADUs, address the state's complex homeowner association statute and liability laws that have negatively impacted the condo market, increase opportunities for transit-oriented development, and continue to incentivize commercial conversion to residential uses.
To help guide us through the next legislative session, we recently launched a member poll to identify concerns that our members have looking forward to 2025. There were a lot of takeaways from the poll, and one of the resounding areas of concern for our members are taxes. More specifically, survey respondents said they would like Washington Realtors to prioritize real estate taxes as part of our advocacy efforts. This includes things like keeping business taxes low, like the business and occupations tax, preventing increases to the real estate transfer tax, also known as REIT, avoiding real estate from being included in the state capital gains tax, and preventing the elimination of the cap on local property tax increases.
That's right. Our members are definitely concerned for taxes. And for a little bit of background, the 2025 legislative session is the long 105-day session that requires adoption of a new 2-year operating budget. So taxes and revenue are definitely front of mind during the session and for legislators. It's pretty certain that the 25-27 budget will be difficult because the legislature is dealing with a few harsh realities in that they no longer have federal stimulus funds from COVID, and state revenue growth is slowed, meaning that taxes and fees aren't generating as much money as originally projected. It's an incredibly safe assumption the legislature will look to raise some taxes, especially in light of the projected budget shortfall, estimated between $10 and $15 billion with a B over the next 4 years. Majority caucuses in both chambers have stated that their first look at the budget will be to scrub it before seeking any new revenue. However, that really depends on how hawkish they are in cutting the budget. Regardless, with a projected shortfall of about 10% per biennium, we foresee a combination of budget cuts and likely raising taxes for additional revenue.
So we're tracking a lot of fiscal impacts that would make the cost of housing more expensive. But what about rent control? I know there were a number of questions we asked our members about that specific issue.
We certainly did. And so to back up a little bit, our board of directors voted and reaffirmed to maintain our organization's opposition to rent control / stabilization as a policy. While most analyses of rent control concludes that if enacted, that policy would result in diminished investment in housing supply over the long term. However, rent control / stabilization supporters will continue to press the issue as a consumer protection, regardless of the impact on long-term supplies. And with the changes resulting from the recent election, we queued up a few questions in the member sentiment poll to determine if there are any dials within the policy to minimize negative impacts to existing housing supply and stock for future use. Generally, our members maintain opposition to the policy, and though we're not certain of the outcome of the coming legislative session, the series of questions and responses definitely helped us to prepare for all the contingencies.
Well, this feels like a perfect segue into our upcoming Hill Day event. Our annual Hill Day conference is scheduled for January 29th and 30th at the Little Creek Casino. The 29th is dedicated to our committee meetings and installation event that evening. And the 30th is the big day. That is the day when all the conference attendees go up on the Hill and talk to legislators. And I can't impress enough how valuable it is to have constituents meet with legislators to tell them about the local market conditions and our industry concerns.
Absolutely. I mean, truly. I have personally heard from legislators on how much they really appreciate opportunities to hear from our realtor members about the housing market back home and what they as legislators can do to help, since housing is an issue affecting all four corners of the state.
So our Hill Day Climb is a great opportunity for you as individuals and for us as an organization to have a unified voice on issues that impact housing and real estate. So here's how the day is going to go. We will kick things off at 9 a.m. with our general session. We have special guest NAR CEO Nakia Wright, as well as NAR President Kevin Sears. We are going to hear from our incredible lobbying team to provide everyone with talking points on our legislative priorities. And Mary, I think we have a special elected official coming as a guest as well.
We do, yes.
After that, members will have an opportunity to meet with their local associations to plan out their Hill visits and get any questions answered they have about the legislative priorities. Then we will all hop on shuttles to go to the Hill Day for those legislative meetings. And in the afternoon, we are going to have a group photo opportunity on the steps of the Temple of Justice. We will wrap things up back at the WR building for an evening reception. We invite legislators, their aides, as well as all Washington Realtor members who attend the conference to stop by, unwind for a little bit, have those casual conversations that sometimes can be really impactful with the legislators and their staff, and close out what's going to be a fantastic day. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank all of you for being Washington Realtors members. It is one of our goals to make this the biggest Hill Day event ever, and we need your help to do this. You can register at warealtor.org or scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. Again, I thank you for being members of Washington Realtors, and I look forward to speaking with you more in 2025.